Okay, let me see. There we go. It wasn't going at first for some reason. Now we're live. Now we're back. I guess I gotta say that spill all over again. Um, Okay. Were you getting any feedback from me just now?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. I just cut it off. Okay. Well, guys, welcome back to another episode uh, of the No Anonymity Podcast. I had feedback again for some reason over here on my end, but technical stuff. Guys, we got a very special guest tonight. This is Buffy Daniels. This is National Women's Month, so we want to shed light on missing women throughout the country. And tonight we're going to be talking about missing Indigenous women. How are you, Buffy?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I'm so glad you contacted me. So once because I've been reaching out to a lot of people and a lot haven't been getting back, but I'm so thankful that you were able to get back in touch with me, so quickly like that.
I was excited for the opportunity because the more it gets heard, the better it is. And we've had a pretty big struggle trying to just get people to post missing people
Wow.
here,
Wow.
um, Indigenous people.
Yes. Now you're in Montana, correct?
Yes, I'm in Montana.
Wow. Okay.
Indigenous people.
What is going
Yes.
on in that
Now
state?
you're in Montana, correct? Oh man, you can actually fall down a pretty deep rabbit hole. We have a lot of tribes here, and Bighorn is one of the worst. Um, there is not enough police, and there's a lot of corruption. Um,
Mm.
the actual funeral director was the coroner for a while, and he was actually cremating the bodies before the parents could actually see them.
Wow.
And so they're against cremation, natives,
Mm.
and so a lot of really bad stuff. You can just keep going down a pretty deep rabbit hole. I know my friend's daughter was missing, and we were trying to get the word out about her. Um, and she vented to me that she had a lot of struggles because people were asking her, "What did you do wrong to make her go missing? Has she
Mm.
ran away before? Is she a drug addict?"
Wow.
Um, and she's 15. I mean, she's a baby. Like,
Yeah.
even if she did have problems, the most important thing is to get her back home. And
Right.
so basically, she had found out through her friends that at school that I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of the cartel moves in on the reservation because um, there's not a lot of police.
I
There's
did not know that.
And so they basically get the young indigenous women addicted to drugs and alcohol, and kind of party with them, and then they either end up trafficked or dead. And when they end up dead, they always call it they succumb to the elements. That's always there's a really good movie on Bighorn that lets you see the MMIW put it together, and
Really?
it's called Murder in Bighorn,
Murder in Bighorn. Let me write
and
that
it
down.
is a very good movie. It's very accurate, um,
Wow.
and it kind of makes you feel like, what can I do? How can I help? I know with my friend, we found out what town she was in with, and there was a 24-year-old guy. He was a drug dealer. He
Mm.
had met her at the school, and promised her a lot of stuff, and she ended up going with him. And we were able to find out his address and where he was living, what town he was staying in, and
Right.
the police would not go there. They would not help. Um, um, and while we were trying to post her pictures, everybody was saying things, like, it was just weird. I've had more luck trying to or posting dog, really. Um,
Right.
I had always thought maybe they were wrong about how bad it is. But she contacted me and she said, I don't know about big cities, but in our small town, we
Hmm.
crime pages on the internet, and you can look at them. And so I said, well, the first thing is we'll put her picture out in that town because it's a small one, very small. And
Right.
I said, we'll get everything together, and people will see her, and then we'll find her, because it's real scary. We didn't know if she was ever going to come home. And so my friends started trying to post on that page, and they wouldn't let her. Um,
Mm.
and so she asked me to help. And basically, I talked to the admin and I asked her if she would post my daughter. And she said, yeah. So I sent her my friend's daughter's missing picture. And that's how it got on the page, and that's how she got found. Um,
Wow.
and I couldn't help but feel frustrated, like it was because of the color of my skin versus the color of her skin.
Mm.
And I just snuck it in.
Right.
Got it in there how I could.
Right. Now, it was reported that over 5,000 missing, indigenous women have been gone missing, and only out of that 5,000, only 116 cases were put into the database. Is that because of you guys are like a sovereign nation and other municipalities can't interfere? Is that part of the
It
problem?
it is, and certain reservations, our police force was able to go in for felonies, the big stuff, and they just now pulled out. They sent the, natives a humongous bill that they weren't expecting,
Mm.
and then they pulled everything out. There's a lot of resentment, um, between the fact that they can't go on the reservation and get people, and they're not allowed. And then the reservation police is its own, community.
Yes.
So the police actually end up, if they have to go there, they're resentful, they're angry, they're
Mm.
not helpful, they don't respond well. It's something I don't know how to fix, because it's not really like they want our police come. I mean, look what our police do sometimes. They don't want them coming in there and making things worse, but then at the same time, something's needed to be put in place, because even their tribal council gets
Hmm.
a little corrupted, and it's
Yeah.
it's a long, deep hole to go down.
I
And there's
mean, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
no, go
sorry.
ahead.
Just doing my research with this whole thing, it almost brought me to tears
It's
seeing that the tribal police can only sentence. It was guys getting out for murder with less than a year. I'm like,
uh-huh.
what?
And in Polson, there's another reservation up there, and one of the actual tribal sheriffs, the high up guy,
Mm.
he had moved out of his home, and the people that moved in found a bunch of videos.
Wow.
Yeah, so and it was all underage Native American women that he was um essaying.
Wow.
So it's on both sides. And it's almost like if you have a daughter, you want to just, you know, hide her. Um,
Yeah.
and what was Me and my friend were really into the MMIW, and we had talked about this to great lengths. And I mean, she's beautiful, she's native, um and she had two daughters, and she said, if anything ever happens, I couldn't take it. Well, um then her daughter is the one that just went missing. We got
Wow.
her back home, and I checked in with her today. um Bighorn is a scary place, even
Mm.
for the people that live there. And I went ahead and got a hold of her because I wanted to see if she wanted me to pinpoint anything or say anything. Um, she just had two family members shot last night,
Oh
so
wow.
she's doing funeral stuff today. So I didn't want to bother her too much. It just seems like I just wanted to cry when I hung up. I don't even know what to say. That's a
Right.
lot.
Right. From the outside looking in, people have a misconception that the indigenous population are lazy alcoholics on drugs. Everybody, all the girls are fast and hot and running away. And I find that to be the latter. This is propaganda from well, how can I say this? Other races of people that put this propaganda out, right?
Okay, so it goes deep because when we took them all, not you and me, but when they were put into boarding schools,
Mm-hmm.
they were jerked away from their families, and they didn't speak our language. They didn't know what was happening, and if they didn't let them take the children, the parents would get murdered or kicked off their land, and so they had to give up their children. And what the first thing they did was bring them in and cut off their hair, which is a sign of a close death in the family to them.
Mm.
So then they were sexually assaulted and beaten in these Catholic Christian um, kill the Indian, save the child schools.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so basically, then when they were out, they were returned back to their society, but there was a gap. The government did a good job. They did a good job at what they were trying to do, um,
Right.
and there was a huge gap. And the parents, they didn't understand the children. The children spoke English. They couldn't speak their native tongue anymore. They got. I heard one guy say he got. They if they did speak their native tongue, they'd put a
Mm-hmm.
rubber band in his mouth and he'd have to pull it out as far as he could and snap it. And
Wow.
a lot of them ended up dying, like thousands of them. And they
Mm.
would bury them unmarked graves. So um, that's that's the parents right now. Um, that have came out of the boarding school. They closed the last one, I think, in the early 80s. Um, and so they came home and, a lot of abuse can lead to addiction because you're trying to self-heal.
Mm.
You're trying
Right.
to they don't have like mental health and stuff like they need. Um and of course, people say deal with it and you don't get over stuff like that,
Right.
especially when you're if you see pictures of the boarding schools, it looks like a prison.
Right.
um and it's scary, and they ate spoiled meat. One lady said that
Mm.
when the son of her said she would still spoil her meat a little bit because that's how she was used to eating it growing
Wow.
up. And so I guess it's just snowballed because then they weren't their customs weren't the same anymore. They didn't know how to raise children.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't communicate with the elders, and
Mm.
it really broke up their society.
Mm. This is the pipeline of vulnerability, and what you're talking about is a colonization of cultural assimilation, and they did that to African Americans as
Yep.
well,
Yep.
very successfully to this day. You see all the drive-bys and all of the
Yep.
nonsense that goes on in the African American community. So for people watching, I want them to understand that when they think everybody that's a native is waiting on a check, and the runaways are hot little girls run away. That is not the case. In your state alone, Montana, you guys have had, I believe, 650 missing people,
Yep. And
missing women.
yep. And the latest one, I'm super proud of the MMIW because
Mm.
although they're making slow headway, they're getting out there and they're really doing stuff. And you don't see it everywhere, but when Selena Not Afraid went missing,
Yes, I
um,
just watched something on her.
yep.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
that's on the Bighorn movie too. When she went missing, it was a little different story because the MMIW had been working on that for a while, and
Mhm.
so they were able to have drones, dogs.
Okay.
Her mother stayed in an RV out there, volunteers, horseback, helicopters. They had it all, and I think it was 20 days in,
Hmm.
they found her. Like a
Yes.
few miles away from where their rest stop
Hmm.
was, where they'd been looking the entire time. And that's what kind of happens. They disappear, they reappear, and then it's
Yeah.
the elements.
Wow. What do you think is the root cause of I don't want to say um I don't want to name any particular group of people or anything, but what do you think, who do you think is doing this?
I think basically I was told, like SA offenders, they will go where there's children. So,
Mm,
the Disney World conspiracy and
right.
all of that stuff. I believe the res is an easy target because um if you bring those people back and put them right on the dividing line, both parties on each side, our police and their police, throw their hands up. We don't know what to do. It's yours.
Right.
No, it's your jurisdiction. So it's a murder zone. It's
Mm,
easy for predators to come in and do what they want to do.
wow. You ever see a time where the res police are working with, because I think only the FBI can get involved on the res. Is that correct?
Right, right. And the FBI always tells them they have to ask us in before we'll come in.
Wow.
And then there must be a little disconnect with them, and there's a long history with the feds and the Native Americans. So
Yes.
they're reluctant to ask them to come in. Um it just keeps going, so it's hard to come up with a solution. I
Right.
guess the only thing I could really come up with is to support the MMIW in any way I can.
Right. Now it's not just excuse me. It's not just women going missing. It's men
Oh,
going
it's men
missing
too.
too. Right.
Uh-huh.
So I believe it
And
was 82% of indigenous men have been victimized of
yep,
some sort of violent crime in their life.
yep. And like I said, my friends, family members, they were two males. They just and they had families. They were
Hmm.
just killed at the gas pumps outside the gas station. They
Wow.
caught the guys who did it this time. Um, but yeah, even in as far up as Canada, they had problems with officers taking the Native Americans on a drive, taking their
Mm,
shoes and pushing them out of the car, and
wow.
then they freeze to death.
Wow.
Wind River is all about the Wyoming and Canadian part of it, and they talk about how you always find them without shoes
I
and
love that
frozen.
movie. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I
it's a good
love.
one.
Yeah, it's a good
The
one.
Bighorn one is a little more accurate, and it's real people,
Okay.
and it's the actual tribe, so it's
Wow.
actually real good. It's 3
Wow.
parts, I think, so
Yeah. But when you think about so many women and kids going missing, eh, fr- from an outsider looking on who's not really educated on what's going on the res, you would be like, that's God, that's impossible. It has to be a organization of people doing this. It can't just be little pockets of groups. It has to be coordinated because it's just simply too many women.
that's how I felt too. I just like, the Highway of Tears where,
Yes.
yeah, basically, on the Highway of Tears, they put up a big sign about, "Don't hitchhike, you'll go
Right.
missing,"
Right.
and I think that's a sign for predators,
Hmm.
you have to be careful when the word gets out, that's where they will go
That's where
because
they will
that's where
go.
they can get
Yeah.
away with it, and I think that's a lot of it.
Wow. In the highway of tears, I'm wondering, like, why haven't they put up cameras on that highway?
Yeah, yeah.
Why not? What's going on?
There's so much they could do to actually stop this, but just like I was saying when I was trying to put out, my friend's daughter's missing picture, I got feedback from regular people that were like, I mean, just post it, just share it. That's all you gotta do. It's just a
Right.
button. And they were like, "Well, I don't know. How long she been gone? She ran away before." That's not the results you get when you're posting, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And they do that in the African American community. You'll see a poster for, we'll just say a white woman missing. They'll say
Mhm.
missing as opposed to a black woman missing. Well, they won't even put missing. They'll call it a runaway.
Yep,
So
yep.
if you see a poster that says runaway, you're like, they'll come back. They probably ran off. They're mad
Right.
at their parents or something like that.
It's daunting from the beginning because people get the wrong idea. It
Right.
doesn't matter if they're 15, they're a child. Um, it doesn't matter. We need to find them.
Right. Exactly.
They're
And
not. Sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I had a lady on here from Missing Women of America, and I don't want to departmentalize this, make it a priority of these women. Everybody missing is important, whether it be
Yes, yes.
white, black, Indian, Asian, alien.
Yep.
So that's this the reason why I'm doing this series, is to bring light to everybody and give them all a voice and an opportunity. Because I believe platforms like this, somebody might watch it and say, "Hey, I know something. Let me reach out to so and so," and
Absolutely. Yes. And
yeah.
definitely in smaller towns, you know.
hmm Now in what was going to say, in Montana where you're at, I think they say the highest, murder is always the leading cause when they find
Yeah,
the
it's the third leading cause of death in Native American women and
wow.
men.
That's
Um,
yes,
and they say that they've learned to live in the dysfunction, which
right,
kind of breaks my heart.
right. Wouldn't you think legislation would look back and look at these astronomical numbers and say, let me run a campaign based off actually helping the Native community, or actually helping any of these missing women? But you never hear any politicians say a word about any of this stuff.
In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I feel like they've been trying to do genocide on them from day one. So, um,
I would have to agree. I would have to agree. You could, because you can't turn a blind eye to these numbers. 5,000,
no,
and
and
they're all under the age of mostly they were under the age of 14, I believe. And I was reading, I said, "Come on, man."
they said basically any reservation around here that you go to, everyone on there has a sister, a brother, a child, an aunt missing.
This is it. What do you think law enforcement could do to combat some of these issues on both sides? The tribal police, which I heard they don't have that much authority because they only can give a year
Right.
sentence for any kind of crime.
Yeah. I do think that it would be, I don't know. I almost, if they work together, will it be worse? Um, Sometimes I feel that way. They're very hateful because it's not their jurisdiction, and
Mm,
they're very resentful about it.
right. And I heard a cop say they didn't want to drive the 4 hours to go check on. Like, that's your job, though. That's just this is your
Right.
job.
When you watch the Bighorn movie, they actually have a cop in there, and he's saying, he's basically saying on TV they do it to themselves,
Wow.
and this is their problem. And they don't want to admit that this is their problem, and it's native on native violence, and he said basically they have a high risk lifestyle. The
hmm
teenagers drink
hmm
and use drugs, and he said they also come from broken homes. But I wanted to know, like, what family in America nowadays doesn't have one of the, you know, what
Yeah.
teenage kid is not going through that?
Right.
And so it makes them available to be murdered?
Right. And disposable, and we just
Yeah.
don't. But do you think that it being a sovereign nation, do you think that that's part of the problem?
I sometimes do, and then I go back and forth because I get worried that, if we get in there, will we make it worse? And
You believe if the natives got in, it would become worse?
no, if our actual police force went in and started policing them, we
Right.
we know kind of what happens when our police force gets brutal, and they would, because they're already resentful. I
Okay.
wish I had a good solution. I've racked my brain. I've talked with lots of people. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah. It's very complex when you start talking about the sovereignty of the reservation and all of the politics and everything that comes along with that. It's heartbreaking, it's sad, and you also you want to be hopeful that all the parties can come together and try to you know take
Yes.
care of this problem. But the numbers, man, the more you dig, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it
And
just keeps going.
right, and we only know about what's been documented. What about
Right.
the people that haven't been documented?
And there's thousands that haven't been documented, and and if they do write up a report on them, which sometimes they won't,
Yeah.
um they will say the cause of death unknown.
Wow.
I know that some of the MMIW is pushing, they're trying to get enough women to do tribal autopsies. Um, that would
Mm,
be amazing because,
okay.
the one in the coroner in Bighorn, he actually took a body at one point, and I don't even know. But yeah, he took one for a while.
That's with me digging and trying to educate myself on this. I could never find a cause of death with a lot of these cases.
Right.
It would always just be like exposure, the
Yep. Always.
elements. I'm like, that's it.
Oh, it makes me so angry. It makes everyone angry, but when Selena Not Afraid went missing, they said, "Oh, another exposure death." That's horrible. That's not okay.
No.
We can do
What?
better.
Yes. Why? What would make somebody think a smart teenager would just want to go run barefoot through the
Yep.
snow and just wait to die?
You know what? My favorite thing they said was she had no alcohol in her system.
Wow.
Um, but that doesn't mean that she wasn't drunk.
Right.
I
They don't
okay.
even do any. They don't do any type of the R word for YouTube. I can't say the R
Yeah.
word on a lot of them. The women that they recover, do they do any type of try to get any DNA or anything like that?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. And one of them that they had found, that they said died of exposure, her parents, and they have actual pictures. Her nose is broken, her
Mm,
body's mangled, her shirt's off.
mm.
And they looked for her for a while, and she ended up being at this house. And he said you can stand on their front porch and see her body.
But you can't go inside the man's house.
No, he was she was out in the woods outside his house, and
Wow.
that's where they ended up finding her. But the dad was saying you can stand on his front porch and see her laying there dead from, you know
Wow.
it, and it was days. They don't know what happened to her. It's exposure again.
Exposure again, and
Yeah.
nobody. The thing that I don't like is that they're not holding anybody accountable. There's no suspects,
Nope.
never a suspect. So it's
Nope.
just Casper the Friendly Ghost swooping up women,
Yep.
taking them
Come
away.
here, do what you want. you know that's the attitude.
Right.
and
I,
and I if they take out enough women in any race,
mm-hmm.
the race doesn't survive.
Right. Out of that 271,000 women go missing each year, you have approximately 98,000 of those women are African American. Then when you get to the Native women, the numbers are so out of this. I'm talking about off the chain. And this is Montana. This is that pipeline. This is Montana, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. That
And
whole.
yep, they do say the highway
Mhm.
running right through the middle of all that gives perpetrators more access to get in and get out also.
Right. I was talking, I don't want to mention his name, a native officer. I was talking to him via text message. He said, brother, we don't even have the adequate equipment. We can't even communicate. We don't have a radio to call each other. We can't get no service out here. And I'm just like,
And imagine how actually tough it is on them, because our police, when you see them pull over somebody for a traffic stop, there's four sitting there. They're four deep in there. Um,
wow.
and so when 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 you're on the res, there's no backup. If a
No
guy
backup.
wants to get out of the car and start fighting, you're
Hmm.
on your own.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you have to make that decision. Is this worth going after? And to be able to police their community, they shouldn't have to make decisions like that.
Right. Now you were telling me a little story. We were talking back off, and I wanted you to get into that a little bit more about. We're not going to say any names or anything, but if you could give us a little brief history on that. You were telling me about that.
Um, so my friend's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so basically, she's 15. And her mom and me are friends. We've went through a bit together. We've done rehab together. Um, so we we understand each other pretty good and the hurts
Right.
of you know
Mm-hmm.
things we've done. And so when she got a hold of me, she said, "It's happened. It happened to me. I can't believe it's happened. She's gone." And so I said, we know how to deal with this. We've been working on it a while. So let's get her on all the MMIW websites. Let's get her on her face anywhere we can, put flyers. And she said she appreciated it because she was actually feeling pretty beat down.
Mm-hmm.
And she started sending me some texts. I couldn't read them all. From people that she was trying to get to just post her daughter's missing picture, and
Wow.
they were aggressive. Um,
Mm.
and she said, "I don't even feel worthy to be your mom at this point." And I said, "Nope, that's not." And it's easy for me to say it. I'm not her.
Yeah.
It ended up bothering me in the end. But I said, "We're not doing that right now. We're not focusing on that. We're focusing on putting her picture out there and getting her home. And if anybody has anything to say, they can keep it to themselves. We need to get her home."
Mm-hmm.
And so people started asking me, what those kind of questions, and I said, "It doesn't matter. We'll get her home and sort that out. We need her home." Um, so basically, um, with the address and with the guy's name, and he was hanging around her school. He was selling drugs, and they
Mm.
promise him a lot, and they pay a lot of attention to him. And she ended up going with him, um, and they couldn't just go in there and get her back,
Right.
which is the most frustrating thing. Um, so we had to put up ads in that town, and flyers, and get her face out in that town, and it somebody ended up um, getting her back home. She wanted to come back home. She
Okay.
was unable to. Um, and so there's been a lot of doctor visits. I think a lot of things happen. So
Okay.
um, yeah,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. I was almost like that last night, just reading some of the stories. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting pissed, and I'm starting to hate men. You know.
Yeah, I know. When you start looking into it, you have to stop for a little bit and take a breather. It gets so upsetting.
Yeah, you got to check yourself. I'm looking at everybody's suspect now. Like, are
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Because just the numbers, man. The numbers are ridiculous, man. Somebody sent a praying emoji up for a
Oh,
lot of the families in the comments. Appreciate that. Um, but this is a big epidemic that's a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of
it.
people don't even know what's
They
going
don't
on.
want to. I think it's because it's so deep, and the hurt's so deep because
Right,
um, and you can't help but feel guilty that half of the stuff they've been put through
right.
was not by them. You know.
Yeah. Selena's story, she that almost brought me to tears last night. I was just listening to her mom talk and some of her family members. I'm like, this is crazy. I
I
encourage
do. Oh, sorry.
no, I was gonna say I encourage everybody to look into some of these things, the missing indigenous women. And this is all over. This is happening in Australia, Canada, Montana, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah. This is happening everywhere at an
Canada.
alarming rate.
Yeah.
The highway of tears up in Canada. I mean, that within itself is crazy. Like you said, they got the big billboard, don't
Yeah.
hitchhike. But yet
Yeah.
you didn't even put a freaking um license plate camera on that billboard. You could have put two or three of those
Yeah.
up on that thing, but it's not one up there.
And a lot of the reason they do hitchhike is because they live in the res where they live is it's desolate out there.
Yes.
They have to get into town to get groceries, and
Yeah.
things they need, and that's part of the only way they get, you know.
Yeah. Somebody said, "Way to go, guys! Good job, Buff." That was Dustin Gross. I appreciate you. Hit the like button. Share this live. We're trying to bring awareness to this um, whole thing. Like I said, it just I'm so surprised that government officials are not speaking on this. Like, this is
They don't want to
this is
touch it.
real things. They want to talk about celebrity gossip, but this is real life topics. A whole generation of people, like you said, are being erased silently.
Yep.
15-year-old girls going missing. Those are future wives, future mothers, future you know people that can go out and do great things, but they just disappearing without anybody having any type of resolve to do anything about it. And like I said, I had to check myself because I was getting pissed off the more and more I read stuff.
Did you read about Selena Not Afraid's family history?
I didn't read about her family history because I was working at the time, and I'm working,
Yeah,
trying to listen to the
I
whole
do that
thing.
when I
But
work too.
yeah,
So basically, her brother was shot to death by Bighorn police officers.
mm,
Her sister was hit by a car and
okay,
killed, and then her twin sister had hung herself, and
wow,
she was the last one left.
wow,
Um,
wow,
I mean, we had just here in Kalispell, Montana, we had a Native American woman get ran over, and when they finally she was killed. When they find and she had a family at home, they finally caught up to the car. It was a drunk lady, and
mm,
her kids were named Aryan and Nation,
wow,
and she was not feeling too bad about.
mm, wow.
Mm.
I saw one. I believe he was, transitioning to become a female, and all of a sudden he went missing. But the thing that struck the most with that one is that his mom didn't even try to look for him. He was gone, and he lives in the same house with her. Like, he was
Wow.
gone for like 2 weeks before she even called authorities or anything. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, and they'll tell you it's because they live a lifestyle, high risk
Right,
lifestyle.
right.
Um, when you're a kid, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It
No, it
shouldn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. No. We're getting a lot of comments in the comment section. Such an important topic. Thank you for conversing this. This was from Kim Gross. We appreciate you for coming over. Yes, it's a very important topic.
Shout
Uh,
out, big sister.
that's your big sis.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said, who is this one? For sure. This definitely needs to has an awakening awareness. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, but enough people are not a lot of people are talking about this, which is um disgusting within itself.
It is. It makes you sick.
Right. What are there any organizations that people can reach out to help a lot of the families? Are they? Because I couldn't find anything. Me looking.
Um, I with the MMIW, you can get in contact with them, and they
Okay.
will actually um they will give you places you can donate. They sell a lot of um really nice t-shirts and
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that.
the stand up.
Yes. Okay.
Whoops, where's the camera?
Okay.
Um
We're red. Okay. Yeah. I posted that. I found that picture today. I posted that picture.
and bumper stickers. Basically as much as you can get the word out, just the better.
Right.
And blast it everywhere. They're doing good things. They really are. They're working hard um,
Right.
at changing things.
Now I saw something where they were voting to try to get their own like task force
Yes, yes.
to help with this issue.
And that would be amazing if they
Right.
could.
Oh man. Yeah. It's just I know you probably like. Do you have any daughters? Your
I
own?
do. I have a little girl. She's not little anymore. She's
Okay.
21.
Yeah. What are some of the things you teach her as far as where not to
um,
go, what people not to be around? You give her any type of tips or pointers or anything like that?
I've always been a little over the top with her.
Yeah.
Um, and I do tell her, I've always given it to her straight, what can happen. I know a lot of people think that it scares the children. Um, in my case, I didn't want anything to happen to her, so um, I was very stickler on it, telling her exactly what can happen in these types of situations and that type of situation, and
Right.
don't do this. And she's fighting MMA now, so she's pretty tough girl, but um,
Right.
that doesn't matter if there's more than one. But it's important to teach them that what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And things can go bad really quick.
Really quick. Exactly. I got a question for you, Buffy. Somebody in the comment section. It says, as a teacher of many Native girls, what can we do as educators to bring awareness to these girls that is happening? So many topics in school. You have to be careful on what you say to the students. So I believe she's asking, how can she approach it in a sensitive way? Because
And
they can't say a lot of things in school now, like
they
gender or
can't.
stuff like that.
Um, and it would be cool if we could go all the way back and we could give real history in
Real
school.
history,
The
exactly.
real what
Yeah.
really happened, but
Hmm.
we can't fix that now. I think I think maybe if you were able to share some of the movies that we talked about with them. These are
Right.
real girls that ended up in real bad situations when they were just going to hang out with friends,
Right.
and they can see what's actually taking place.
Wow. Buffett, they said, where's a place that we can donate?
Um,
Or do you have a starter fund? They're asking for how can they help again.
are they asking you that, or
They're in the comment section. I'm putting it on the screen what they're asking. Yeah.
um I think I would start at the MMIW. I would.
Okay. If you send me a link, guys, I'll have her send me a link and I will put the link to all of those and you can click on it and go from there as far as the help and going. Somebody said watching from Oklahoma.
That's my aunt.
Oh, hi, Auntie.
Hi, Aunt Kathy.
Good deal. Appreciate everybody coming over because this topic here, like I said, once you start digging and you start watching those movies and those docs, like you said, that's you know on YouTube and stuff like that, it's heartbreaking.
It is, and you
Heartbreaking.
start to feel like just helpless. Like, is there anything I can do? What can I
Right.
do?
Yes. These, a lot of girls going missing. Like you said, um, they have to hitchhike. They don't have money. They got to walk into town. You should be able to walk in town. Why can't I? If I want to be able to
Right.
walk, I should be able to walk where I want to walk.
Yeah. It's almost like, they're in trouble for growing up in poverty. I mean, and or growing up native or growing up, there's excuses for it all. There's no excuse. There's no
Right.
excuse.
Yeah. Somebody want to know the name of those movies we were talking about. It's a list of those. I'll put a lot of those movies in there too. If you want to watch a lot of those movies. Oh, Dustin, hey, I spoke with him today. He said, as of January 2023, 45 indigenous people are missing in Montana, with 20 of them missing for more than a year. We receive calls to our shelter all the time from people hoping to find their relatives. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. When you have to call, not the police, because
Yeah.
they're not going to help. They're going to do it. You got to call other sources, which is a good thing, but it just goes to show you the lack of. We could do more. I believe we could do more
Yeah.
as a community. And I'm not even Native. I'm African American, but I'm still a person who respects and loves everybody, regardless. So they can do more. If this little podcast can shed light on it, the people that's getting billions of dollars in funding, y'all can go put some goddamn cameras, excuse my language, on those highways to
Yeah.
help detour. Even the little phone books that little phone booths that they have like on college campuses. If you have an emergency, you could just pick it up. It goes straight to 911 or something like
Yeah,
that.
that would be amazing on a
Yeah, you could
highway.
do those. But
That's a
who
really
am
good
I?
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He and Dusty's got quite a story for you. We had and I'll let him tell the story, but we had a homeless man that stays at his shelter.
Mm,
His head got stomped in by
wow.
a teenage kid, and he went home and went to bed, and the police went after him. He was bailed out by some white supremacists, and
Mm.
yeah, so nothing's been even talked about on the case.
Did he go to jail on the res?
No, he went to jail. This was in our town. This wasn't even
Okay.
on the res.
Okay.
So
So
um,
let me ask you a question. Say I'm not native and I commit a crime. I come on a res and I commit a crime. What do I have? Um, how can I say this? Do I have more rights as not being a native?
they can't arrest you.
Wow.
Yeah, they can't do anything to you.
Wow.
They can try to hold you and call our police force and hope that our police force want to come get you. And if they don't, they let you go.
Do you think this is what's happening? You got a gang, a group of um, sleaze bags that are targeting a certain group of women
I
and doing this.
that and more. I think it's not even just that. It's all of it. It's the perfect storm altogether
Hmm. Wow.
for
Me and
violence.
Dustin, he's gonna be on the show next week, and we're gonna because I want to continue to do this, continue to bring light. I want to make a series out of this.
I love this. I'm gonna blow this up big.
Yeah, because I want it has to be a change.
Yep.
I was watching the one with the Australians over there in Australia, and man, I had to stop watching it. Like,
Yeah.
jeez.
It gets too much. It's
Yeah.
heavy. It's
I haven't
real heavy.
cried since my mom passed, but I said, oh man, I can't watch this. Hold on, let me
Yeah.
come back. I might need a couple cocktails watching this one
Yeah.
because man,
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking, man. What
I
what
would
advice would you give women that's that live alone, like safety tips, like if they're going shopping, if they're by themselves, what would you tell them?
um know your surroundings. I know a lot of women can carry concealed in their purse in Montana
Okay,
without a license. And if that's not your route, if that's not something you're comfortable with, they do make pepper spray guns. Oops, I didn't mean to say the G word.
oh,
Um,
it's okay.
okay, pepper spray ones that will hold somebody off for at least 20 minutes until the police do get there. Um, what I taught my daughter is never go out unprotected. Um, whether that's a pepper spray blaster, I
Right.
recommend the blaster because actual pepper spray will come back in your face.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but the blaster are marbles and they actually hit the target and explode on that. So they don't get you too. Um,
Right.
so and that's always my advice. You watch your surroundings and you make sure you're protected. You have something
Right.
that will protect you, and not just a knife. Women are not as strong as men, and I don't
Right.
think they understand what it
Mm-hmm.
takes to actually
Mm-hmm.
inflict those kind of wounds
Right.
to get
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. They're listening to too much Beyonce. I know you
Yeah.
independent. You're a bad boss bee, but listen.
Yeah.
You got three guys coming at you. All that's out the
Yep.
window.
And
All
once
that
they
is out the
twist your
window.
hand, you're gonna drop it. So
Right.
you want to stay back.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. Good deal. What did I want to say about this situation? I want to say something else about the hold on, somebody else got a question for you, I believe. Said there are 9 pack self protection kits for women online. For like she said, talking about like keychains. We can purchase them and send them to you. Oh wow, that was from Kim. Oh wow.
And I recommend you get comfortable with them. You're not going to use something you're not comfortable with.
Right. Yeah. And don't be apprehensive, ladies. Listen, you got these scumbags coming at you. Go for the. I always tell people, go for the eyeballs. Kick
Yep.
right. Go right here. Put something
And
in there because you got to protect yourself.
and you could be saving the next person in line.
Right. Because if they did this to you, imagine how many other people they have been continually doing this to and haven't got caught.
Yep.
Let me tell you how serious this is. I was watching a YouTuber because I watch like van life, van living, living in RVs, stuff like that, right? So the girl was living out of her van. She pulled up to I think it was between Colorado and Arizona. She was like out by herself. All of a sudden, a truck pulls up. Three guys hop out. She's recording her live content. Start grabbing a crotch. You can hear them talking. Then the camera goes black. She gets back. She gets back on later. I'm thinking something happened to her. And she goes to explain like, yeah, these guys were going to do something to me. And if they would have succeeded, nobody would ever find my body way out here.
Yeah. It's like you're helpless. Um, and especially if there's more than one. I mean,
Right. Right. Yeah. Last thing before I let you go, because I want to have you back on. What do you think would be a good starting point for the Native community as well as all the municipalities to start moving in the right direction?
I say us as a community backs them. Um, and we put all our weird negative stereotypes behind us. These are
Hmm.
people,
Right.
and that could be your daughter. And
Right.
once you put it in that perspective, you get behind them, you back them, and we stop this from happening. We
Hmm.
take it where it needs to go. We take it up high, up to the higher ups, and we get all the exposure we can. And the more people that are supporting them, the more empowered they'll feel, and the more we
Right.
can get done.
Right. Right. Now on the res there are the schools implementing any type of safety measures for women and kids?
Um, I'm sad to say, I know in the case of my friend's daughter, there's a lot of cartel, um,
Mm. Hmm.
and they do target the schools, because there's nothing being done.
Mm. And this is when they target them because they're doing the drug trafficking, the
and
sex trafficking and
yeah,
sex trafficking. Wow. Wow.
and native girls are kind of, I heard, I don't know if this is true,
Hmm.
actually I should probably state it, but I heard that they're kind of uh mm, they're pretty, and so they're wanted a lot more than
Right.
yeah.
I've heard that they're exotic would be the word I was
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah,
Exotic
there we
look,
go.
but that doesn't give anybody a right to
No, no.
take them, assault them, disrespect them.
And in their community, they don't look at women like we do. They don't look at them for looks. They look at them as mothers and aunts and givers of life. They really look at their women a lot different. Um, not, but never as a sex object. Object.
Right. And that's a good point because prior to the colonization and the assimilation of a people, Native typically looked at held women at a high standard,
Yes.
a very
And
high standard.
yep. And that
But it
was
wasn't
part
until they came over. We
and
talking
started
about you
trafficking them.
colonizers. Yeah,
Yep.
we going way back. We talking
Yep.
about you white folk. I'm just gonna keep it real. Making them objects of sex and making them exotic and treating them bad. So you got other men looking like, should we be treating them like that? Then when
Yeah.
you get to separating the, like you said, a lot of them women didn't even know how to raise their own kids at a certain time because they
And
were
I believe they almost I believe they almost resented the fact that when they came in, Native women were, they were asked if the men would come and ask them, should we go to war? What's our next move? What's the decision? And they resented the fact they were asking. I heard one person put it, they were asking old squaws what to do next, like they weren't warriors. It was
mm,
almost like they were resentful that they were even talking to their women about. what to do next and giving them decisions.
Wow.
And it was resented from the start.
Mm, mm, wow. I had a quote that I wanted to read if I can find it. I know and you probably know this guy. His name is Running Wolf, Tyson Running Wolf. Have you heard of him?
I actually haven't. I might have, but I don't think so.
Okay. He said, as an elder once told me before, he said, we are not fighting hard enough for our women and our children. He said, and I never understood what that meant because I thought, he said he thought a physical fight was what the guy was talking about. As a child, I thought he meant a physical fight. But he says, I stand here today and go over these astronomical numbers. I understand what my elders were talking about. We are not fighting hard enough for our women and children in legislation.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah, that was Tyson Running Wolf. I want somebody to bless me with a native name. I need to be something, Chief something. Hey, Buff, I want to thank you so much for coming on the platform, shedding some light to this. You are welcome back anytime. I would love to have you back, actually.
We
can
all
go over.
appreciate you. We
Yeah.
appreciate when I told my family that somebody was actually, I watch a lot of true crime, and people on YouTube don't even want to touch the subject because it goes so deep.
Right.
So you bit off a lot, and proud of you.
Hey, I got it, and I did when I did my Missing Women's of America. Somebody inboxed me and told me to be careful, and they didn't have no picture on the freaking, like how you can see who it is or whatever. It said nothing. And then my son called me and said, "Hey, Dad, you touching on some deep stuff. You need to be careful." I'm like, listen, at any price to get the word out.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I hope it's one of you perverts that
come to
come
my
see
house.
me. Yeah. Somebody said, I'm watching from Oregon. Thanks for bringing awareness. Good job, Buffy. You can see who that is. You probably know that person.
Oh, it's my sister's friend.
That's your sister. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button.
Thank you guys for all
share this
supporting
video.
us.
Yep, subscribe. She'll be back. I love Buffy's energy. Such a sweet person. We reached out. We had to reschedule a couple of things, but you was like, hey, never said no. And I thank you for that. Somebody said, women are beautiful creatures of God. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Thank you for watching. Who is that? Thank you both.
That's our MMA fighter.
Word. Okay, that's the MMA fighter. Hey, man, we're gonna have to go get some. We're gonna have to go get these women, man. We gotta save them, man. Hey, but I thank you so much, Buff. You're welcome back here anytime, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all you're doing on the subject.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yes. Next week we're gonna have Dustin on too. We're gonna continue to keep this thing going.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you, and you have a good night. Okay.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Do you shut me off or?
Yeah, I'll drop you down.
Okay, cool.
All right. Have a good one. You can shut it. You have to shut it off on your end, but I'll drop you off the camera here.
Okay, cool.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Bye. That was Buffy Daniels, a sweet person out of Montana, coming on the show. Like I said, we want to spread some awareness to this situation. Guys, give me 1 second. I want to appreciate everybody for coming over, watching. This is National Women's Month. Next week, we're going to have Dustin on the show. Hold on. I'm doing something wrong here, guys. Give me 1 second. Yes, next week we're going to continue. We're going to continue to get this going. And I'm looking, listen, I've been emailing everybody. I'm looking for somebody from the Black Missing Women's organization to contact me. I've been hitting you guys nonstop with no word. Everybody else has came on to share their story. I don't know what to say, but we're going to continue to keep this thing going. Like I said, it's not about color. It's about helping everyone. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody. God bless y'all. And until then, until next time, good night.